So I am On Yavin, and I'm the founder and CEO of Cointelligence. At Cointelligence, we do research and analysis for the crypto industry. We developed a unique and impartial rating system for ICOs, STOs, coins, and exchanges. The second thing that we're doing is education. We do a lot of education. We started with publishing guides on the website, and then at the beginning of this year we started a roadshow in the UK in different universities, and we started teaching students. And about 2 weeks ago we launched our online academy, and it's going very well, and we see a lot of positive feedback for it. That's what they call me.
That's what they call you. What's a scam hunter? What does a scam hunter do?
Okay, so as it sounds, we call out scammers, and we fight scammers. And the reason that we're doing it is when we started developing the rating system for ICOs, after we investigated a couple of dozen ICOs, we were shocked to find that there was a very high percentage of ICOs that were actually scams. And we started calling them out, and we felt that we should be doing it because nobody else was doing it, and it was such a big deal, and there were so many of them. So it was very important for me and for the rest of my team to call them out, and we just kept on doing it, and that's why we got the recognition as scam hunters. Absolutely. So we developed a system for rating, and basically what we did was we checked everything from the legal entity or entities, the team, the product, if they had a product, the vision, the white paper. We found that as much as the white paper is high quality, if the founders really worked on the white paper in a very if they invested a lot of work and a lot of time into it, then we saw a clear correlation between serious projects and non-scams to scams when we found that the white paper was copy-pasted from other sources, or if it was poorly written, and so on and so on, up until a point where we actually developed a technology based on NLP algorithms that actually check the duplication of white papers, and whenever we found that it was duplicated, it was a clear sign that it can be a scam. Beside that, we also checked everything that the ICO did marketing-wise, especially not only to make sure that the marketing was good enough and they knew what they were doing, but also to make sure that they didn't do over-marketing and didn't make all kinds of false promises when they did the marketing. Beside that, we also checked if we could. In some cases we couldn't. We also checked the technology, tech-wise, and we also checked the possibility and probability of the business as a business. I mean, we're all about dreaming, and me and most of my team members are entrepreneurs, but there's a very clear line between dreaming and being an entrepreneur to talk rubbish and just make up all kinds of bullshit stuff like land blockchain on the moon, or create a blockchain phone, or all kinds of these buzzwords that we've seen going around, when it was very clear to us that there's no business there, and there's no chance of having a business there, so the investors will just lose their money. So that's about the ICOs in general.
And what are the criteria by which you judge an ICO?
So it was legal, team, vision, product, and marketing, and probably a few others that I don't remember right now.
I guess some of them.
And by the way, sorry for interrupting, every category had about a dozen subcategories. So if we check the team, for example, just to give you one example, so we checked the team and we checked their online presence, not only about the ICO, but their previous online presence. And we checked their records and history, and some of them claim to be blockchain or crypto experts when they had no experience whatsoever. Some of them pretended to work for all kinds of 500 Fortune companies when they didn't work for these companies. We actually checked these things. And we also checked about how the team responds. We actually approached the team members and we asked them all kinds of questions, and it was important for us to see that they can actually be business owners and behave professionally and responsibly. So that's an example about the team. But again, it's just a few examples. There's more. I mean, so for every category, there's subcategories.
And do you think some of those categories are more subjective than others, maybe?
No, I can say with full confidence that all of them are objective, and they were checked objectively. Having said that, no rating system can really be 100% impartial and objective. Like, there's no judge sitting in any court that can actually be completely impartial. It doesn't exist because we are human beings. But having said that, I do think that we were able to get to a level, and I'll tell you how I know it. I'm not guessing. What I did was I let different researchers, after we built the methodologies to do their rating, and we've seen that the rating is very, very similar between the different researchers without them knowing about one another. So I let 3 different researchers do the rating, and we've seen that, let's say, one ICO got a 6.3, 6.2, and 6.4, for example. So it's very, very close. And they didn't know about each other. No, unfortunately not. I can tell you that the amounts dropped significantly, but it's not because something changed in the industry, and it's not because something changed in the mindset of people or in the different mechanisms, because with STOs we've seen so many people say that they are an ICO, but they're actually an STO. In IO's case, we see so many scams until now, and I will tell you something else about, beside the scams, the clear scammers. There's scammers and there's mini scammers, as I like to call them. But before I go into that, I'll just say that I don't think that it decreased about ICO Box. ICO Box was a launch platform for ICOs. They did a lot of ICOs, and the SEC just indicted the founder of ICO Box, and that's after the SEC sent a cease and desist letter to ICOrating.com, which was a very well-known ICO rating site. So I don't think the change is because of the people. I think the change is because people understand now that they can say ICO until tomorrow. It won't help them. They will be indicted by the SEC and other regulators. So that's the reason that we see less ICOs or less volume with regards to ICOs, STOs, IEOs, and so on and so on. The second part of my answer is about STOs. I do think that there's a huge potential and future for STOs. I just think that it will take much more time. It's not going to happen this year, maybe not even next year. I think that it will evolve significantly 2021.
IEOs?
IOs, I don't think they will last. I mean, maybe IOs on the top 10 exchanges will continue to exist, but not the way that we've seen a few months ago, where we had a huge hype around it, where we had where we thought that IEOs is replacing ICOs and we're going to have another craze, another hype. No, it's not going to happen. Absolutely. So with ICOs, it's very straightforward and simple. Basically, you are supposed to be able to offer investment to everyone in the world, no matter who they are, where they are, no matter how much money they got, no matter how much they would like to invest in the ICO. It's wide open. That's the basic definition of an ICO. And I would say that you don't need any middlemen. And that's why I loved ICOs so much, because I mean, you can invest directly and send the money through a smart contract, or just send the money to a crypto wallet, and you don't need anyone else. You just send it to the wallet of the company, and that's it. They get it. They get the investment. On the other hand, obviously, since it's so wide open, we've seen the wild, wild west, and we've seen what happens when everything is so wide open. We have so many scams. An IEO is actually exactly the same as an ICO, but there are huge differences, and the following differences, and the differences are the following. One, it's in the full control of the exchange, so it's a pretend to be an ICO. It's not really an ICO. It's open only to specific users. It's not open to everyone, even though it's been marketed as it is, which is not the case.
Who is it open to?
To the exchange users. I mean, so if we take, for example, Binance, and Binance is doing an IEO on their launchpad, it's open to Binance users only. That's not the crypto way. Crypto way is to open it to everyone. And speaking about middlemen, it's in the hands of the exchange. I mean, the exchange is managing it. The exchange is in full control of it. And so far, I didn't see even one exchange. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm saying I didn't see, and I've been monitoring most of the IOs out there. I didn't see even one IO that actually disclosed the funds that were raised. When we approached them and we asked to see the wallets, the wallet addresses, we didn't get even responses. I mean, from anyone, not the founders, not the exchanges, no one. No one will disclose. Again, that's not the crypto way. Where's the transparency? Where's the trust? Nothing. I mean, it's all in their hands. So that's how I see IOs. On the other hand, I would say that the advantage of having an IO is that you get some level of marketing, because the exchange is doing some marketing for you to the users, to its users, and also they're publishing it on and do content marketing around it and social media and so on. And another advantage is that for founders of ICOs that are not technological enough, they don't have to deal with all the technology around doing an ICO, because it's in the hands of the exchange. Obviously there's other differences, but I think these are the major ones. An STO is completely different. An STO is all about securities. It's very similar to IPOs. I would say it's exactly like an IPO, but the only difference is that you have the advantage of crypto and the advantage of the possibilities with crypto. The option that you can actually transfer crypto, everything around tokenization, which doesn't exist in IPOs, and so on and so on. But legal-wise, it's exactly the same as IPOs.
Okay. In IEOs, I guess there's a possibility that the exchange might do some of the scam hunting, maybe, or.
No, actually, from what we've seen, it's exactly the opposite. We've seen most of the exchanges out there will list anything and everything, including scams. Actually, if you go on Cointelligence on the exchange list and you go to each of the exchanges, you can see the list of IOs. For some of them, you can actually see scam alert written about specific IOs that they launched. So in theory, you're right,
yeah.
But practically, it doesn't happen.
Okay.
I'm saying again, for most of them, not all of them, most of them. So first, the crypto way is accessibility and possibilities for everyone. Blockchain doesn't look at people in a different way. For blockchain, everyone is the same, and that's the way that it should be in my book. It doesn't matter what color, race, gender, origin, religion you are. In my opinion, everything should be open for everyone, and that's the blockchain and crypto way. Second, you need to cut the middlemen. And whenever you have a middleman, I don't have a problem with middlemen as long as they're not behaving like the legacy banks and ripping off people and misleading people and taking their money. So the crypto way is, okay, fine, you want to take a cut, but don't take don't take too much. Don't be too greedy, in my opinion. And the third part would be that it's transparent. Now again, I don't have a problem when projects are not fully decentralized. And you asked me about decentralization, and I'll answer that, but I don't have a problem with that. I do have a problem when everything is in the hands of one person or a very small group of people, and they can change whatever they want whenever they want. So I'll give you an example of a story that we published a while ago that will explain it very well. So we published a story about Bitfinex Exchange when they launched the Leo token. And they raised a lot of money for that Leo token and everything that they were planning to do. And when we analyzed the smart contract behind Leo token, we actually found that they can change the smart contract whenever they want, however they want. And when we published the story, the CTO actually confirmed that we are right. It's not a real smart contract. A smart contract is a smart contract by definition when it cannot be changed by anyone. If you want to change it, you have to destroy the smart contract and get a new one. That's the only way that I see that smart contracts are supposed to be. And by the way, that's also a problem that the corporates had with smart contract, because they need to be in control and they can't allow themselves not to be in control. But when you mislead the public, say that it's a smart contract, it's very wrong. So in this case, it's very wrong. But in other cases, I can see projects that are semi-decentralized. And when I say semi-decentralized, it means that I don't have a problem when the project is saying, okay, we have a public blockchain and we have a private blockchain. For the public blockchain, it's going to be decentralized, for example, and it's going to be completely transparent. And with a private blockchain, we can't afford people to see medical data, for example. So it's completely fine to register it on a private blockchain, but don't say that you're doing something completely decentralized and lie about it. That's the definition in my book. Now, you asked me about decentralization. I think that there is a lot of possibilities with decentralization, and I think that it can be amazing for some use cases. It's not suitable for all use cases. It's not suitable for everything, and people need to stop saying decentralization as a buzzword. But I do think that we will see amazing projects that will be completely decentralized. We'll see great projects that are semi-decentralized, and we'll see projects that are completely centralized and will be great as well.
It's a spectrum.
I know exactly what you mean, and I would argue the following. First of all, as I mentioned before, I'm an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur all my life, and I'm a dreamer. But you have to be responsible. When you take money from others, you have to be 10 times more responsible than when you are towards your own funds. That's the way that I see it. And what I've seen with most ICO founders out there is that if it's not a scammer, then it's a mini scammer. That's what I mentioned before. And when I say a mini scammer, I'm talking about the following. First, when you go and sell all your dreams to other people, but you actually don't believe in your own dreams and whatever you're saying yourself, you're a mini scammer, in my opinion. Whenever you lie about specifics, and there's a very, very thick line, not thin, thick line between dressing up and telling it in a nice way. And I've been a marketeer for the last 20 years, a digital marketeer for the last 10 years. Believe me, I know all about dressing up nicely. But there's a very thick line between dressing up nicely and lying. And again, you can lie in a very straightforward way, but you can also lie in a non-straightforward way. And I think that if you talk to a lot of these ICO founders, you will very quickly realize that they are either lying or, lying in a very aggressive way, or they're lying in a stupid way. I don't care which way it is. It's both lying and it's both wrong. And that's why I call them mini scammers. Beside that, I've seen founders mislead the public with false information. We've seen founders saying that they have partnerships with 500 Fortune companies. When we checked out, they don't have any collaboration with any company. We've seen founders lie about the amounts that they raised. They say that they raised $1 million or $10 million, why they didn't even raise 100K. That's very, very wrong in my opinion. So you can say whatever you want on their behalf in their defense, but these things will not be forgiven according to what I see. And by the way, that's why we actually generated a blacklist of people that are going against blockchain or crypto because they have a personal fiat agenda and they don't believe in blockchain or crypto. They are just misleading the public because it hurts their own fiat money. And on the same list we have the scammers and the mini scammers as well. And we always like to say that we have to make sure that everyone will remember these liars and these cheaters because they stole money from people. The way that I see it, they stole money. It doesn't matter what you tell me. They stole money, and I don't understand how these people go to sleep at night, to be honest. I'll tell you, for two reasons. The main reason is that I fell in love with blockchain and crypto 2 years ago. When I was introduced to it, I decided that I am pushing aside everything else that I was doing up until that point. I was involved in about 6 different companies in different positions with these companies. And I just decided to push everything aside and focus my life and dedicate my life to blockchain and crypto. And that's what I did. And I think that, I know, I did it because I truly believe it's the biggest revolution that mankind ever had. And I've been there when the internet revolution happened and the mobile revolution happened, but it doesn't come close. The internet revolution was amazing, but it doesn't come close because with blockchain and crypto, you have 2 different directions that will probably impact and change every industry out there. That's huge. And when people are damaging that progress, and it's exactly the same with the government and the legacy banks that are fighting against it, and the reason that they're fighting against it is very wrong in my opinion, because they are using all kinds of excuses to say, yeah, we are looking to protect the public and blah, 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 blah. They are lying in many cases. They don't do it because of that. They do it because it's hurting their own personal fiat agenda. And the legacy banks are fighting it because they know that their time is coming. They're not going to be around much longer and take our commissions and mislead their users and continue to fund terrorism and drug trafficking and all the bad stuff that we've seen that they were doing, while they're saying that they're doing exactly the opposite, which is a lie. I mean, just a few days ago we've seen JP Morgan being indicted for the fact that they manipulated the entire silver trading industry for so many years. So on one hand we have all these people that are fighting against blockchain and crypto. On the other hand, we have the scammers that are damaging the industry and slowing down the progress. And I take personal offense, not only for myself, but for the entire community and the entire industry. And I think that we have to fight these scammers. I mean, we do have to fight the governments and the legacy banks in a legal way, obviously, in a good way. But we have to fight the scammers right now, and to make sure that they don't continue to destroy this amazing revolution. That's the first reason that I'm doing all of this. And the second reason is because I have seen that the regulators continue to ignore the situation and they don't do shit about it. And just to give you an example, we've spotted, my partner at Cointelligence, Hossam Azawi, he spotted one of the biggest scammers, ICO scams. They scammed tens of millions of US dollars from innocent investors. They were called Envion ICO. My partner approached the SEC 3 times, they ignored. My partner approached FEMA, the Swiss SEC, the Swiss regulator. They ignored as well. It took them more than 7 months to issue a warning, and by that time they already stole about more than 30 million US dollars. When my partner approached the SEC, they only stole about a couple of millions, which is a lot. But just so you understand the comparison, nobody does anything. I mean, they just sat around and did nothing. And he approached again and again with proof, by the way, with evidence. So that's why I'm so passionate about it, because no one did anything. By the way, it's changing now. I'm not saying it's still the same situation. We've seen it change a lot in the last 6 months. We've seen the SEC do a lot, like what I mentioned before. We see the other regulators are doing as well. Not enough, in my opinion, but we just took the role of the regulator on ourselves because they just didn't do it. So, as I mentioned, last year I was saying that we're not even in the beginning, and I think that this year we are only in the beginning. And I'm saying it because I think that the entire ICO craze was too crazy and too hyped, and people thought that it's the market, but it's not the market, and the market is just starting to evolve now. Now we see more serious companies, more serious entrepreneurs. We see enterprises going in, we see institutionals going in and investing in crypto. It's starting now. I mean, 2019 for me, it's like the beginning. So everything is still immature, and everything is wide open, and we can see it take all kinds of directions. With regards to specifically to the entrepreneurs, I think that entrepreneurs will think 10 times now before they launch something, especially because of all the scam calling that was happening, not only by us, by everyone in the industry last year, and I think it's a good thing. I would say, first of all, I think that the community's part of blockchain and crypto is amazing. It's one of the things that I love most about this industry. I don't think they're created for scam hunting. They're created for getting together, for sharing knowledge, for for being together and sharing the same mindset. So I think that these are the main reasons. Specifically about scam hunting and the different meetups and so on, I don't see any specific connections. I think it's a by effect of what I just said. I mean, they're not created for scam hunting.
Oh no, I don't think they are created for it. But like you say, it's a byproduct. It's just like any community. If you know someone who's a bad egg.
Yes, I think that for better or worse, the communities play a very crucial part in this industry, as they would have in any industry, because the knowledge is being shared very quickly. And by the way, it's for better or worse, because with the ICOs, we've seen cases where someone just posts something on Facebook or Reddit or Bitcoin Talk, and after a few hours you see the ICO raising millions of dollars. So that's why I'm saying it's not only positive, it's also negative. But specifically with the communities, yes, it is good to have a community, but you have to remember something that most people don't understand. Whenever I'm speaking about scammers, I always say, don't trust anyone. Don't trust even your friends and family. And not because you shouldn't trust them, because they are being misled as well. So you can't trust anyone, and you have to do your own due diligence. I'm actually explaining people, don't even trust me. Don't even listen to a word I'm saying. I mean, you can listen, you can learn from it, but then do your own due diligence and check whatever you want to check yourself. And I would say that's another negative point about the communities, because communities also get people worked up, and sometimes it's not always good.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah, so you get a hype around a particular space.
Yes, and it's been proven again and again, unfortunately, that people like to act as a herd. I mean, people follow each other. Actually, I just read a very interesting research. I read the headlines, not the whole research, I should say. And one of the headlines said that when people are running away from a building on fire, they actually go to the elevators that are packed by people, even though they have empty elevators, which can get them probably even faster, or they can get inside much quicker. But no, they choose the elevators with more people because it's being a part of the herd. Even in such a danger environment where you have a building on fire, which is crazy.
I think that's, to see that in terms of uncertainty is like, when there's an uncertain moment, like when there's a fire, you trust people, which is I find quite...
Which is exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. A lot of the times it can mislead you.
Yeah. I find it interesting as an anthropologist that when there is uncertainty, we tend to trust people rather than maybe our own due diligence, maybe.
Our own instincts.
Yeah.
Yep. I think that's the case.
That's quite interesting.
I think that there shouldn't be any connection. I think that communities should be as open as possible. With regards to scammers and bad actors, people should be open, they shouldn't be naive. There's a huge difference between being open to being naive. And I always explain people, if you see something that is being promised to you that is going to have huge returns, huge profits, usually it's a scam, so just don't follow it. I don't believe in making a quick buck. I don't think it's possible. I mean, it does exist. I mean, you do have the lottery and all kinds of things like that, but the odds are so low. So I always go for working hard for making money. I think that people need to just stop looking for the quick buck, to make a quick buck. People need to stop looking for miracles. They need to take responsibility and work hard. It doesn't have anything to do with the openness of communities. Absolutely. First of all, we have Ethereum. Ethereum was an ICO, and Ethereum actually created the way for many of the ICOs. Some people don't like it for it, but again, I never blame the mechanism. I never blame, it's like people blame the internet for crimes or computers or any type of technology. It's bullshit in my opinion. So I would say that I really like Ethereum. I really like the community behind the Ethereum. I think that it's one of the strongest communities in the crypto space, and I love it. Beside Ethereum, there's other specific projects that I really like. Do you want me to name projects with great communities in my opinion, or with no regards to communities?
Yeah, both.
Both, okay. So I would say that the following projects are doing a lot. I'm not saying that I think that they are that they have high rate of success, because it's all startups to me. It doesn't matter how much money they raised. Maybe more advanced startups. I'd say that EOS, Telegram, Cosmos, Polkadot are great projects beside Ethereum. Obviously Bitcoin is amazing, and Bitcoin is already proved itself to, in my opinion, so I'm not even discussing Bitcoin. But
what's great about EOS, Polkadot, and this?
So first of all, I think that EOS has a great community as well. I think that Telegram has a real potential to disrupt a lot, and to really create what they are looking to create, because they have the funds, they have knowledge, they have experience, which others don't have, like I mentioned before, and they already proved themselves to defend the privacy of their users at all costs, even not showing up to court. Which I'm not saying that I support doing anything illegal or doing anything against governments or courts, but I'm just saying that they already proved that they are willing to go as far as needed to protect their ideas and their users. Beside them, I'd say that Cosmos is an amazing potential project, because Cosmos is supposed to connect blockchains. And one of the biggest problems that we are having at the moment is that each blockchain is standalone of its own, and you have to be able to connect the different blockchains. Otherwise, we will not see good progress at some point. And that's what Cosmos is all about. Having said all of that, I'm not telling anyone to invest in any of the projects. I'm not giving any financial advice. I'm not a professional consultant when it comes to finance. And like I always say, do your own due diligence. That the vision is actually connected to reality. We didn't judge the vision as a vision. Visions can be a world peace, and they can be no hunger, and they can be all kinds of things. But when you say these things about blockchain, it's completely bullshit, because you're not going to solve wars with blockchain at the moment. And if a project says that's what they're going to do, it's bullshit in our opinion. When you say that you want to land blockchain on the moon, and when you want to create a blockchain phone, that's bullshit as a vision, because we just don't need it. I mean,
yeah. What about blockchain? I mean, the war thing I understand. What about blockchain phone? That may
it's
not...
bullshit. I'll tell you why. You don't need a blockchain phone. First of all, it's again using a buzzword. Second, all the major phone companies will have crypto wallets in them. It's already happening. By the way, it was very obvious to me that it's going to happen. I said it's bullshit about a year and a half ago, I think. I'm not sure exactly about the time frame, but a year and a half ago. Recently, we've seen Samsung saying that they are releasing the next generation with a crypto wallet. We've seen HTC releasing a phone with a crypto wallet. It was very clear. So a startup that raised $100+ million is going to fight with Samsung? Seriously? Come on. I mean, there's no chance. So I don't care about this big vision that they have. It's impossible. It's just impossible, period. And again, they also did it like in, we've seen how they planned the design of the phone to make it look so premium, and the price of the phone. Come on, how many people on earth you have that will buy such an expensive phone? I mean, people are obsessed with iPhones, and they are buying $1,000 worth of iPhones because it's already a brand, and because people got obsessed with it, not because they really need an iPhone. I mean, we can argue about it, obviously. And by the way, I'm using iPhone myself, and I think that I just got used to it. But whenever there's a new iPhone last year, I didn't run to buy it because I think it's just stupid to buy another phone within a year difference. So maybe I'll buy a new one now, or I'll wait for next year. But again, that's my personal opinion. I mean, I completely understand when people are obsessed about products and they keep buying it. It's completely fine. I'm not saying anything against that. But saying a blockchain phone, when it was very clear that you don't have the capabilities of building it, or you cannot fight with the giants, then why take money from investors? And by the way, I have to say one more thing. You need to understand, I'm all about entrepreneurship. I'm very much against taking money from innocent investors that do not understand anything about the investment, that are being misled, that are being sold all kinds of lies and promises. That's where my problem is, not with the entrepreneurship. I've seen things that no one would ever dream about happening. I mean, who would think about everything that we have today, about the computers, the internet, GPS, autonomous vehicles, drones, and so on and so on. Don't get me wrong. If you asked me, I mean, 50 years ago, I wasn't born yet, but 50 years ago, if you asked me, I would never tell you that it's going to happen. So I really believe in magic and things being created out of thin air. I've seen it happening so many times. I come from Startup Nation originally. I'm from Israel. So I do believe in it. I have a problem when you take money from innocent investors when promising them the moon. That's the problem that I have. Absolutely. You don't even need to complete the question. The answer is absolutely yes. There's no question here.
I mean, so with, I guess to complete the question is just like, you know, there's a lot of, like, you know, we're so used to a centralized world. We're so used to greed. We're so used to these kind of expectation and things in the world. Don't you think this technology will be just reappropriated into that universe?
No.
Rather than this technology have its own agency?
No. I think we're going to see use cases where it's going to be like you said, and there's going to be use cases where it's going to change everything completely. Most people live their lives thinking that the government really knows what's best for them, that the teachers at school knows what's best for them, that the doctors at the hospital or at the clinics know what's best for them, and so on and so on. That's false. When you become mature and when you become a grown-up, not everyone, but some people, you realize it's not the case. Exactly the same as I realized a couple of years ago that my money in my bank account is not safe, like they are trying to say. Our money in the bank accounts is very unsafe, and it's not owned by us. That's something that again makes me so worked up and so passionate about blockchain and crypto. I've seen it with my own eyes, with my own money, how time after time after time I get the excuses of KYC AML, while it's completely bullshit. And it's not because of that. It's because the bank wants to continue to hold my money because he uses the money. It's because the bank is working so slow, not because they need to work so slow, because they are just understaffed, because that's the way that they have more profits. It's all a bullshit industry. That's the way that I see it. So if you ask me, banks will not continue to exist anymore. We'll not need the banks the way that they are today. Maybe they will exist in a completely different shape and form, but we will not need them. We will have decentralized mechanisms that will determine a lot of things in our lives. We will have that. I am not sure it will happen next year, but in 10 years, in 20 years, my kids for sure will have decentralized mechanisms. I'm not saying it will replace everything we know, but it will replace some of the things.
Okay, that's a bold vision. Yeah.
And I'm on camera, and I keep saying it for the last 2 years, and I'll continue to say it. Yes, I'd like to say that everyone has a responsibility to weed out the scammers and the bad actors, and it's not enough not to be a scammer. You have to call out the scammers. You have to fight against them. Whenever publishers are publishing scammy content, it's very wrong. And don't get me wrong, I completely understand that they need revenues. It's fine. But there's a very, very red line. And we called out publishers as well. There's event organizers allowing scammers to get on stage. They know that they are not legit, but they're just too friendly with them. They just get paid too much. It's very wrong. We have cases of different community members endorsing scammers while they know that they're scammers, or they just don't do due diligence on them. I don't care which one it is. It's wrong. That's my message to the community. Stop enabling scams.
It's a pretty good message.